in terms of the lyrics and the videos, is perhaps a little bit politically dubious in some respects. There's very little evidence that actually does feed through to the attitudes of the fans. Now, on the one hand, you've got a whole stack of correlational evidence which shows that heavy metal fans really are more likely to break the law, to behave in sexist ways, to drive in over 80 miles an hour, one study showed. They're more likely to take drugs, they're more likely to have unsafe sex, they are more likely to believe in Satanism, witchcraft and the occult, and basically you name it again, fans of heavy metal score worse for it. The problem is it's very much a chicken and egg argument. Okay, heavy metal fans are more delinquent, are more, if you like, politically, ethically dubious. The other side of it, though, is basically is the music causing that, and that's where a lot of the protesters' arguments really start to fall down quite badly.
When people take it to the extreme, then it's like watching The Village People to me. It's a joke.
This is all fantasy. It's all about escape. It's escape from the difficulties of life, your parents, your dysfunctional family, your job, your school, and you got to keep it in perspective.
A lot of them make me laugh when they go on like with all this satanic crap, and they really mean it, and they're really serious about it. Then I have to laugh. We got pissed off ourselves when we did the first album, because in those days we weren't allowed to see the album artwork or anything like that until it was out in the shops. So we loved the front cover, and then we opened it up and saw the upside down cross, and it's like I totally freaked out because I hate anything like that. And of course when my parents seen it, it was like I had to leave home over it.
Bottom line, anybody that says they're a sort of satanic rock band or whatever are either taking the piss or completely off their trees and should be locked up in a mental institution, quite frankly.
And they're entertainers at the end of the day. It's not life and death about them, and I think sometimes we take it a little too seriously, and it's just music.
I absolutely detest studios. I absolutely fucking hate them.
The studio can really make or break a band, and it can make or break a musician. I've seen a lot of successful local bands completely fall apart in the studio.
It's not as good because there's no one there sort of to feed off of as you do with the audience, so I'd much rather play live.
Producing is a number of things. Producing is babysitting, being a policeman, being a school teacher, being the father, and then there's another tiny little role where you're actually like involved with the music.
You're more of a sort of what's it called, a rock and roll proctologist, really, because you deal with people. It's ego. You're dealing with a lot of ego all the time, and let's put it this way, there's a lot of people that know how to work a mixing desk.
So close, no matter how far. Couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are.
In there, you know, you're hoping, and you're talking to another guy that you're paying him to say, that sounds good. So you're going to say, that's pretty good, what do you think?
It seems that if I hear a song, I can normally, 9 times out of 10, improve it.
I mean, most often you'll get an engineer or a producer who's a yes man. I've been fortunate enough to work with guys that'll say, well, you know, why don't we try something different? And I'll be like, That's pretty good, though. Yeah, well, we'll keep that. Let's try another one.
I would thought the psychology is more work than the knob twiddling, really. I mean, the knob twiddling you sort of get the hang of quite quickly.
Never care for what they do. Never care for what they know. But I know.
Ideally, whoever's engineering the album has seen the band and has been to some rehearsals and has a good concept of what the band is supposed to sound like.
If the band is, you know, a heavy metal band, then whatever I do, they're still going to sound like themselves. What I can do to it is make sure that it's recorded in the best possible light, and it translates from their, you know, their rehearsal room, their little demo that they've showed me, and it translates onto big speakers with, you know, I might put some harmony riffs in there, I might put some harmonies on the vocals, swap the arrangements about a bit, make the solo longer, take the solo out completely if it's not appropriate, all sorts of, you know, things that really is up to myself at that time of how I'm feeling, you know.
When you're in the studio, you're basically putting the speaker under a microscope.
You're shrinking something that's very loud in order to come out of a small loudspeaker.
It's tough. Sometimes you bring it in, you dial up the exact same sound that you've had on stage, and it sounds terrible.
So when you make records, you do kind of get a pretty much a live sound. I mean, classic Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin, that's the benchmark for me.
Thin Lizzy was always, we'd go in the studio as an excuse to, you know, to make an album, as the excuse to get back out on the road, so we could spend 7, 8 months out on the road. You know, I know that was asked backwards. We should have probably not done it that way, but we just thought of ourselves as so much a road band, you know, a touring band, a live entity rather than
But having said
headphones
that,
on.
I think, well, a lot of the singles, especially the singles, definitely have a certain sound to them that's like timeless, you know. The minute you hear Boys Are Back in Town or something, there's something about the sound of those records. It's just that time, that place, that combination, the chemistry and the magic, you know, with the producer and the band and everything.
Every album is, you know, big history for the band that's recording it, whether it's an album that's totally unheard of, you know, whether it's rubbish.
When you commit something to tape and you release it to the public, it's a baby. When you take that same song 6 months down the line and you've been playing, say, 70 or 80 shows, 100 shows, that song is totally different. You've found all the little bits in it. You've found all the little good bits, you've lost all the little weak bits. And if you can capture it live, it's always better than the one that came out on the studio.
When you go see a band with a whopping great big PA system, and they are slaying, and the bass drums thumps you in the gut.
You feel the bass in your stomach and
full, in your face, hard, heavy animal.
It's just 100 times louder.
It's the time when, you know, you get to go and sort of worship in front of the bands that you love.
It is about that hour and a half.
What can be better than that?
Playing live is the most important thing for heavy metal bands. The live setting is where heavy metal bands prove their worth.
Much as the rave scene is all about getting off your face and dancing, metal music is about getting the, you know, really getting. Live music tends to be rock of different genres, and metal is part of that.
Whole